Fred White joins us now. We love him. He's on with us every Friday. And I can go ahead and make the announcement now, Fred. It's super cool. So, one of the things we want to do is make schools safer. And that is one of the things that our friends at Herald Group Security Solutions are doing, along with protecting CEOs. They want to provide security solutions for schools. So that's one of the things that we're going to be promoting that we feel like is going to make the world a better place. HeraldGRP.com. That's Herald, HARRELL, GRP.com. And they will bring you that Sunday show with Fred. I couldn't come up with a better name, Fred. I did the best I could.
I'm okay with it.
Back in my wet days, I would come up with something really creative. I just have a couple pops and then something just flows right out. But I'm not nearly as creative when I drop the IPAs. So, but
creative juice.
That's right. We used to call it the truth serum. Or Kevin Mays, Cooper's dad, used to be on the radio with us back in 1997, and we were talking about you guys. And it used to be always get him there early so he could have a couple of drinks and get the truth serum in him, and he would talk a little bit more frankly. But go ahead and get on board, and if you're interested in the security of your business or your kids' school, check out HeraldGRP.com. I will tell you more about that. It'll be that Sunday show with Fred where we will talk about the Vols. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe. We appreciate that. And turn those notifications on, because here's where it really starts, because over the weekend, we'll have the Vol Report with Cooper Mays and the Vol Report with also some guy named Jacob Warren, who I think might be in the Tennessee the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. Our guy John Adams made the Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame. I'm all over the place. Fred, our guy John Adams made the Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame, not just the sports writer, but the Sports Hall of Fame. What do you think about that?
You know what? That's what's up. I like John Adams, man. Like I said before, I used to hate John Adams when I was in college, but after getting a chance to work with him and be a part of the show with him, man, and learn a lot of things from him, I think he's well deserving of the reward.
Yeah, and he loves you too. And I called him yesterday. I was like, I didn't even hear about this, and he said, "Oh yeah, I didn't say anything." And I'm like, "Well, I would have gone." And oh man, it's so boring. And, guess how much tickets are? $50 higher, $150 higher, $200. Yeah. So I said, then I wouldn't have gone. And he goes, yeah, that's exactly right. All right. So here we go. Let's get off and rolling. And we want to talk the University of Florida. Hit that like and subscribe button to get us going. It'll be Cooper Mays. Coop, what should we do? What should we do?
Coop here. First down.
That's the wrong button. Guys, I'm so excited about football. I'm all over the place.
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
All right, we will do that, Coop. And it is time for 4 Downs. And it is brought to you by our friend Andy Mason, AndyMasonRealEstate.com.
4 Downs. 4 questions. 4 answers. The Dave Hooker Show.
4
Downs. A presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
So I got the down set, but Travis kind of jumped in there and gave me a good one. So this is like a pregame stretch. How happy are you that Florida stinks like a dead possum, man? How bad were they last night, Fred?
You know what? I'm so happy because here's the thing. We went through that stretch where we were not so good as well. And it's a cycle, right? I think it runs its cycle. I'm sincerely hoping that it's Florida's cycle to go through that same situation that we went through for the last 10 or 15 years before we got our coach that we need. Watching them, that first touchdown pass was 70-something yards, I was sitting there thinking, uh-oh, there's trouble in paradise. Then as I watched the game go on, I'm thinking to myself, this is a Billy Napier coach football team. They kind of look like a Big Ten football team, how slow they played, lethargic. And it just made me realize, you know what? I don't know if these guys are going to be able to make it through the SEC schedule. They played like that against Utah.
Well, that and so this was the MO among the media before Billy Napier took over in the offseason. I think he'll get it turned around. I think he'll build a strong foundation because he is a detail-oriented coach. Well, detail-oriented isn't having a ton of bust in the secondary, and detail-oriented isn't having two dudes with the same number run out on the field
at the same time.
How does that happen, Fred?
That is ridiculous. That tells me a lot about who he is as a coach.
I mean, that really is one of those moments that gives you more insight. We cannot overplay that.
And I can recall when we were looking for a coach there that somebody brought up his name, and I remember saying to myself, if we hire him, we're looking at the same situation for the next 10 years. I'm happy he's not our coach. I guarantee you that.
Fred, you were a peer of Ryan Clark. Y'all played in the SEC together at safety. You know Ryan Clark wanted LSU to hire Billy Napier over Brian Kelly, right?
I saw that clip yesterday. I saw that clip when you said that. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, what was Ryan thinking? You cannot. That's ridiculous. So why would you even ask that guy to be? What did you see that made you think that he was a guy that you wanted to be your coach? I'll take Brian Kelly every day, all day over him. Billy Napier? Are you serious? I've never actually thought he was a good coach anyway, and I think he's had some good situations. Don't get me wrong, but as far as just being an X's and O's guy who can get it done, I'm not going to ever say that he's not a good coach. As far as like he's made it to college football to be a head coach. Somebody thought he was a good coach, but I just never thought he was a good coach. I've never liked his schemes. I've just never liked any of the way his teams have been coached and ran and those type of things as well.
Yeah, and when it started to leak to me, somebody that covered Florida said to me that was really high on Billy Napier a year ago, the detail-oriented coach, said this year, well, I think he'll at least build some stability. I just don't know if the fans are patient enough. Wait a second. That's like a girl that says, well, maybe I'll show up and go out with you, but I certainly wouldn't bet on the fact that I'll actually show up at 7:00 on Friday night.
Yeah. You might show up, but she's gonna only be there for the food. I guarantee.
Yeah, I hope you have the patience to sit around there and wait for like 3 hours, and maybe I'll show up. I just thought that was a really weird thing to say.
But am I wrong? Did you watch the game? Y'all watched the game, and did you see how like they didn't look like they were in a hurry to do anything? It just looked like they were just on the football field, and it was like they didn't know what they were doing. They looked very unconfident and very unsure of themselves while they were on the field.
No, I agree.
Do y'all think the weather, like the hurricane distraction, maybe affected them at all, or is that?
I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. I doubt it. How about these hurricanes? How about these hurricanes of touchdown passes we're gonna throw on them in that stadium? I guarantee you it's gonna be a joke. I might go to the game just because of it. No, I went to one Florida game in my life, and I was like, I'll never go back. But you know what? I think I might go now.
Yeah,
I can rub it in a little bit.
Yeah, I went to one Florida game as a fan when I was in college, and that went south pretty quickly. But this might be a fun Florida game to go to. But still, Tennessee has to take care of business, and we haven't even seen them play. Let's go ahead and get to 4 Downs, and it's brought to you by Andy Mason, AndyMasonRealEstate.com.
4 Downs. 4 questions. 4 answers. The Dave Hooker Show. 4 Downs. A presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
I like to kind of pin Fred down sometimes on some of these football questions because he knows so much more football than me that I tend to get insight. But I'm going to go really just broad scope lens on this one. And that is just what did you think of Florida quarterback Graham Mertz?
I'm happy he's a Florida quarterback and not ours. I mean, I think He didn't have a lot of time. I don't know if the offensive line is that good for one. First game of the season, he's a new starter. I still didn't think he played very well. I mean, I think he has all the tools, but I don't even know what their identity is supposed to be on offense. I can't tell you whether they're a high-low team, if they're underneath team. I don't understand what they're trying to run. I don't understand their offense. So I don't want to give him a bad grade just simply because he's in a horrible offense. But he didn't look very good in this game. He didn't look very good because they were. I don't understand the play calling, man. It just didn't make sense.
No, I felt the same, Caleb. I felt the same way. I didn't know what they were trying to accomplish. I feel like I know when I watch good teams what they're trying to accomplish first, and then you build off that.
Well, I think they are very. I think Fred, you nailed it. I think their tackles are terrible.
They are.
They are horrible.
Yes.
I think they got Graham Mertz, who's used to playing in the Big Ten behind a Wisconsin offensive line, which whatever you want to say about Big Ten football, Wisconsin always produces those great offensive lines. So Graham Mertz was very much a drop back, dink and dunk down the field. We tried to do a lot of that yesterday. I think that's what they want to do. Rob Sale, the offensive coordinator, is a former line coach, but I'm with Fred. I'm with both you guys. I don't think they have an offensive identity. They don't know what they want to do. And I do think it's hard when you have a statue for not too much. Graham Mertz isn't totally immobile, but he's not that mobile. And when you have that bad of an offensive line, I just don't think there's much you can do.
If you don't have a good offensive line, and you have a guy who he's not looking to run the ball. He's not a guy who's going to be very athletic like what you just had. He's nowhere close to the Richardson kid or any other quarterbacks they've had in the last few years. He is a statue. But keep in mind, Billy Napier, Wisconsin, what did he have there? He didn't have any athletic or mobile quarterbacks.
Maybe he doesn't value one like he should.
Yeah.
I mean, because nowadays, let's face it, to be the next Peyton Manning or Dan Marino, a pure pocket passer, you've got to be really, really, really special in those regards. You better be able to move some for most people.
Well, you better be able to have a good offensive line that can protect him too, because that's the name of the game. And I mean, you put Peyton Manning in that offense, they might have scored a few more points, but getting sacked that many times, hey man, it's going to be hard for you. And I'm going to say this again: Utah is ranked number 13, yes. However, that is a Utah football team. It's not the University of Georgia. It's not South Carolina. It's not Tennessee. It's not Auburn. You're looking at some real heat coming at you when the SEC season starts, because they're going to blitz the crap out of you, knowing that you don't have any guys that can make plays downfield right now.
No, you're right. So what down was that, Coop?
Coop here, first down.
Thank you. What down is this?
Cooper Mays here, second down.
Cooper's just sitting there in the studio waiting at all times to read those lines, and we appreciate it. He's right over there in the corner, and he just sits there and he reads those lines. We appreciate it. This is a tough one. What does Florida say is a team strength or that they did well after last night's game? How do you build upon last night?
You asked a question. You said, what would they say they did well? Get beat. That's what they did well. They got beat. Bombs over Baghdad. I'm just saying. They got beat.
Great song.
Early and often.
Really, is there anything, Caleb? I mean, I know I'm grasping at straws. That's the point of the question. I can't think of one dude that did something well.
Well, okay, I'm just going to say it. Their punter did nail 2 punts inside the 20-yard line and had a 57-yard punt.
Press the kicking game was here where the breaks were made. There we go. I got you.
Yes. But they weren't even good in most of the kicking game because they still missed a field goal, and it was the special teams where they had 2 people with the same number. So, I mean.
Yeah.
That still is the dumbest thing that I've ever seen in football, probably. I'm seriously trying to come up, as far as an organizational thing.
Just a funny aside real quick. because I'm a Real Housewives watcher, guys. Utah special teams coordinator Sharif Shah, his wife went to prison this offseason for financial fraud.
Wait a minute. Well, hold on. Back up. What did you just say? Did you just say I'm a Housewives watcher?
I watch the Housewives.
I watch it on occasion, but that means old school VCR setup. Record at 7:58.
You try to just say that like it was just cool. Okay.
I'm a fan. I'm sorry. Fan of the shows. But Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Jen Shah is married to Utah special teams coordinator Sharif Shah. She went to prison this offseason because she was stealing money from senior citizens. So if anybody should have had the mistakes on special teams, it should have been Utah because of all the distractions. And Florida still managed to out-incompetent Utah on special teams.
The Gainesville PD needs to pick up Billy Napier for stealing money from the University of Florida.
Yeah, because he's going to get fired at some point. They're going to have to pay him all his money at some point. I mean, hey, the quickest way to be a multi-millionaire is to be a college football coach and get fired in 2 years.
Amen to that. And there used to always be 3 or 4 years, but we're going to get to the 2. All right. What down is it? Hey, Coop, over there in Studio 3B. What down is it?
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. 3rd down.
Thank you, Coop. I appreciate that. It's 3rd down. You're a Tennessee player watching that game last night. What do you take from it? Because I know you want to be confident, Fred, but we've had a lot of Florida games that have cropped up over the years where I sit back in the media and said, this is a Florida team for the taking. Tennessee's better, and it didn't shake out that way. So what would you hope Tennessee's players' mindsets are after seeing the Utes beat Florida?
And you got to take into account also the last few years of the head coaching position, the difference there. I think we're head and shoulders above where we were when it comes to coaching staff now, with Josh and those guys. I look at this Florida team, though, and they didn't – even those other teams that may have lost the game or didn't play very well, they may not have played very well, but they won the games, or they were in it. They weren't in this game whatsoever. They didn't look very well coached, for one. They looked like a few of our old school teams that with horrible coaches, after Coach Fulmer, I'm just going to say that first, that were kind of just didn't know what they were going to be doing on the football. They didn't look confident. They didn't know what they were doing on the field. They didn't look like a Florida football team from old. So I look at this group and say, unless you're going to have a drastic change in your locker room as far as leadership goes, I don't see them winning 6 games.
And this is not his first year. I mean, Fred, this is supposed to be a detail-oriented coach, and you come out there in year number 2, and listen, if Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Southern California, I could list off about 8 schools that are just talented and or have great coaching. If they come out and beat you in year 2 just because they're better than you right now, I get that. But to look poorly coached in year 2, ouch.
I bet you right now that Lane Kiffin is kicking himself, and also the University of Florida is kicking themselves by not hiring him when they had the opportunity to. I think that was a big mistake on their part. And I think I just saw somebody say that in the thing. I think Lane Kiffin will be at Florida next year.
I do too. Because I'm going to go ahead and go. And Lane wasn't offered it. I can tell you that with a very good source. But I bet he'll be offered it because of this question. Coop in Studio 3C.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. 4th down.
It is 4th down. Will Billy Napier be fired after this year? Usually, even the worst coaches get 3 years. This is 2.
You asking me that question right now.
Yes, sir.
I'm telling you, he won't make it through the football season. I think he'll get fired. He'll be the first coach fired this year.
Ouch.
I
what do you think, Caleb?
Before last night, I would have said 3 years, but I got to agree with Fred. I got to say he won't make it through this year. That was bad. I mean, that was next level bad coaching yesterday that I didn't – I even from the Tennessee years that we talked about, that we can just name them, Butch Jones and Derek Dooley and Jeremy Pruitt. Like, I don't remember seeing somebody look – the closest that bad in their second year. I mean, the closest I could say was Jeremy Pruitt, his second year losing to Georgia State and BYU to open this season.
That's how bad this looks, though. That is a ranked team, though. Don't get me wrong. That is a number 14 ranked team. But I'm looking at Florida's schedule, and I'm trying to figure out where they're going to get these wins. I think they'll lose Kentucky. If not, it'll be a very close game. If they lose to Vanderbilt on October the 7th, he would not get back on the plane. They won't bring him back. Let me take that, but that's a home game for him. But he won't make it to his house without having fire signs on his lawn. And then South Carolina is right after that. Then you got Georgia. I don't see them winning those games. I don't see them beating that schedule. You got Kentucky, Vanderbilt. You got to probably, if you lose to Vanderbilt, you should get fired in the first place. But Florida plays South Carolina at South Carolina. They play Georgia in the cocktail game, and then you play Arkansas at home, and then LSU. I don't think he makes it to the end of the year.
I wasn't even thinking through the year, but Fred, you may well be right. Because here's the deal: you get a head start on finding the next coach. That's why Philip Fulmer was fired during the season, is because Lane perhaps preened that he was going to get the Washington job, but I do think he had an offer out there, and that's why Mike Hamilton had to pull the trigger during the season, because that's who he wanted. Now, in retrospect, that wasn't the right move, but that's why it was made when it was made.